So in the last video, we went over how you can use the new mask by feature node inside of Houdini 18.5 to drive materials inside of Redshift. So in this video, we're going to be going over a small piece of that and a different way that you can create attributes. So we're going to be using the point attributes that we create inside of Houdini, and we're going to use those to drive materials inside of Redshift. So this scene that I have here, basically this is just has an object merge in it with a out from this grid that we have here that we've created. Basically this is just creating some visual interest in our object, and then it's transformed down and then brought into another object so that I can avoid any sort of overriding of the attributes that we have. So we're going to drop in a point bop, and this is going to be what we're going to use to drive our attribute that we're going to create. So let's go ahead and dive in here. And then we're going to drop in a turbulent noise, if I can spell. Hello? Turbulent noise, there we go. Having issues. So we're going to use this to drive the material, or the attribute that we're going to create and use in our material. So use the point that the point position that we're bringing into the position of our turbulent noise there, and then we're going to drop this into our color so that we can see what's going on here. So let's just change this to something that we like a little bit better. So something like a sparse convolution, kind of like that. Let's maybe up the frequency to, maybe we'll do like a 2 and a 2. That's kind of nice. Let's up the roughness maybe just a bit here. Maybe let's drop that back down to maybe like a 1.3 and a 1.3, just to add a little bit more, but not too much. So now we're going to need to export this into a float value, because if I go into the geometry spreadsheet here, you can see it's creating these 3 channels that we have right here, which is our color channels, because we dropped that into our color. So if I just get rid of that, you can see that they disappear. So I'll just drop that back in so we can continue to tweak it if need be. But we want to create another value here. So if I do a bind export, we can create another attribute that we can use inside of Redshift. So as soon as I wired that up, you see we have this new attribute. So let's just name this opacity, because I'm going to use this to drive opacity inside of Redshift. And then we want it as a float value, because as you can see here, these have decimal values. They're all the same because it's a black and white color that we're adding here, but we want that in a singular float. So it just works perfectly with the float value, so that's what we'll leave it as. So I'll drop back to our scene view, and then that's essentially all that we need. We just need to wire up a material and hold shift and press enter, and it will automatically wire that up for you. And then I've already created a material. It's just a super simple thing that's it's going to be green here, so I'll just use our first material, and we'll go ahead, let's actually just jump into our material context and go into this material. So as you can see, it's green here, and that's essentially all that we have in this material. So you want to create these materials, you can just do rs material builder, drop one of those in, you get this node, and then you get these 2 nodes as well, which is what we need. So I'm going to go ahead and switch to a different scene here so you can see our Redshift render view. So this is where we're going to be doing most of our work from now on. So let's go ahead and just start that up so you can see that we have this green kind of a mess going on here, which is obviously not what we want, but I just set it to a nice green color to give us a little bit of an easier time to visualize what's going on, and then we can tweak that later if we need be. So let's go ahead. To bring in our point attribute, we need to drop in an attribute, rs point attribute, and you can see right away it has one singular thing, which is one singular setting, which is our attribute name. So we need to set this to one of these values, which is our point attributes. So we're going to use this opacity value that we created. So let's just type that in, make sure it matches completely, and then we'll jump back to the scene view just because we don't need that no more. And then if I wire this into our diffuse color, you'll see immediately kind of what we got going on, which looks like is not what we're looking for. So let's actually make sure that we got, okay, so we got some roughness going on here. So it looks like we are not getting what we want. So let's go ahead, jump back into our object context here and kind of figure out what's going on. So if I bring back our other scene here, you can see that we have the values that we need. So shouldn't be having any issues. Oops. And actually, I think I may know the issue. Let's go ahead. I'm gonna just refresh our IPR here, because that may actually be the issue, and it is. So I actually just needed to refresh the IPR because Redshift kind of needed to update materials. So you can see that we already have our value driving our color. So I'm not going to use it to drive the color. I'm going to use it to drive the opacity of our material here, but you can use it to drive pretty much anything that you want. So just wire that into the opacity, and now you can see that we have these nice sort of blended cloud type things going on over our geometry here. Kind of following the contours of our geometry because it's the exact same thing and just translated down. So not too difficult to create these sort of effects. You can create any attributes that you want inside of Houdini and use those to drive Redshift. You may have to play around with it a little bit. Occasionally you have to do some other things. I kind of go over that inside of the mask by feature to get a sort of blending going on between objects. So if you want to see how you can go about blending objects together inside of your scenes, go ahead, take a look at that. Like I said, that does go into a little bit more detail on a couple issues that you may run into. So, but otherwise, this isn't too difficult of an effect to create. It's just something that you have to know how to kind of work through with Redshift. But it's super useful for creating lots of different effects. So play around with it, see what you can do to use these particle attribute or point attributes to drive materials in Redshift. But I do have a bunch of other videos on my channel going over things in Houdini as well as Redshift and Cinema 4D as well. So make sure you check those out. Also make sure you subscribe. Most of the people that watch my videos are not subscribed. Something like 92% are not subscribed. So make sure that you guys subscribe so you don't miss any future videos that I got going on, as well as I do have a website where I have some other things on there. I do have some stuff up for a download that you can download for free. I've got some stuff that I'm going to be selling on there as well. If you guys want to support the channel, you can do that as well. So make sure you guys check out all that stuff and subscribe. Other than that, thank you guys for watching and have a good day.